Welcome back. You're still tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now. And viewers, you can write to us on a WhatsApp number that will be flashing throughout the show on the top of your screen, as well as you can also connect with us on our social media pages, X as well as Facebook pages, and we will try to get answers from our experts on your queries. But with this, let's kickstart taking your queries because we have a lot of queries pouring in. And the first query that I have is coming in from Vishaka from Kolkata. And Avinash, if you can help him with your view on CAMS, he's holding 30 shares. His buy price is 2,330 rupees. At this point, do you still like CAMS and any targets that he should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think my guess is that CAMS is a player which operates in a monopolistic kind of business. As the mutual fund AUM grows, the SIPs grow. This is a business which is going to grow by leaps and bounds. And I think the kind of geographical reach, the kind of relationships CAMS has built with most of the larger mutual funds. Over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, as the mutual fund basket investors kitty grows, the SIP number grows. We are now already 20,000 crores every month in terms of SIPs. So incremental upside for CAMS is going to be very, very solid. Of course, it's going to be a gradual journey. So if the investor has a 2 to 3 year kind of time frame, he could definitely expect, a comfortably a good upside for the counter, although it's difficult to give a target price. But I would believe that this is an annuity business and where incremental upside is going to be quite significant. So continue to hold for the longer term. I think it could definitely generate a lot of wealth over the medium to long term.
Query is from Rohit, and he's a long-term investor, and he wants to know whether should he buy Som Distilleries and Bharat Electronics for long-term. Avinash, what would be your view here?
Electronics is definitely a good bet, Somit. I think the defense pack is currently under is largely favored by the markets, and I think the kind of business growth which Bharat Electronic expects even in the current year is quite strong. They already have an order book of 75,000 crores. The management commentary was quite positive post the Q4 numbers. They've said that at least 15-20% is what the order book will grow. And in the budget also, I think some good announcements could come in. So I think, from a 12 to 15-month horizon, Bharat Electronics can be a good bet. Som Distilleries, we would prefer to have a cautious view because recent reports of corporate governance have indicated that, there have been some lapses on the part of the management, although the management has clearly denied this. I would believe, I think the investor should wait for some time till the dust settles down. And I think once numbers for June quarter come in, then I think one could take a call here.
All right. The next query that I have Hemen is coming in from Rajiv from Mumbai, and he wants a short-term view, maybe till budget. Your view on BEL? He's already holding 700 shares. His buy price is 310 rupees, and he also has GSW Infra from a price of 320 rupees. Your view on both of these?
BEL is in a small correction, Srishti. So for safety's sake, he needs to keep a stop loss at 292. Nothing is expected to happen till it closes about 315. The medium to long term picture is clearly bullish. Absolutely no second thoughts over there. But yeah, in a minor consolidation phase. So keep the stop loss. If it closes about 315, I think then a test of its earlier high seems to be on the cards, Shishti. And the other stock you mentioned?
Infra.
Okay. GSW Infra, we have a little bit of paucity of data in the sense it's a relatively new listing. It's been there for a few months, I'd say, or maybe 6 or 7 months. Whatever data we have seems to suggest we are in an uptrend on the short term and medium term charts, progressively higher tops and bottoms. All major mechanical indicators and moving averages are supporting the up move. All-time high posted today itself. Hold, I believe 300 is a crucial level. Further upside seems to be on the card. But once again, the data is less, so I would be slightly careful. But once again, limited data, but looks good.
It's from Kumarjit, and it's on IREDA. His buy price for the stock was 202. He has a long-term view on the stock. Avinash, should he hold this counter or should he book losses right now?
I think clearly IREDA, if he has a long-term vision, Swamit, I think he can definitely hold on. The short term, the stock may remain range bound, but I believe that even in the coming budget, solar financing is going to get a big boost. And most importantly, it's one of those players which is a very large player in this space, has done remarkably well in the last financial year. And in the coming 2 years, renewable and green energy is something which I think the government is going to focus aggressively upon. So I think, if he's got a 12 to 18-month view, I think continue to hold where good prospects do continue. But I think the rise will be gradual. So I think keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months to get a decent risk reward.
All right. Hemen, the next query is coming in from Mahesh, and he is indeed a momentum trader. Just a couple of days back, he bought Stylam Industries at a price of 1752. Now he is at a profit of 7 to 8%. But looking at the charts, Hemen, Stylam Industries, do you believe that good time to book out profits or continue to ride the momentum?
If he has a slightly shorter term view, Srishti, it makes sense to book out, but he's got a slightly medium term point of view. It's taken 11 months and more to break out from this consolidation phase. I'm saying this breakout because today is the weekly close and today will also be the monthly close. We need a close above 1971. We posted a high of 2020 and we are at 1923. Why I'm saying this is because this is the swing high posted in September 23, 60. So 10, 11 months of a consolidation, a breakout on the annual, upward bar reversal coming in. It's ticking all technical boxes. So I would say hold. If you want to take some money home, there's no harm, but do not sell everything. I believe a further upside seems like a distinct possibility. I don't expect it to outperform, but if the market remains positive, Stylam will perform.
The next query is from Shashank from Uttar Pradesh, and it's on the IPO of Raj Iron. Today is the last day. Avinash, have you had time to look into this IPO? Do you think it could be a good, would it be good to apply for this IPO for long term?
I think, Samit, I couldn't get the name of the IPO. If you could please repeat the name.
Raj Iron and Steel. Today is the last day for this IPO.
I think my guess is, I think clearly if you have a long-term vision of at least next 12 to 15 months, then I think one could look at applying to this IPO. But I think if you're only expecting, the listing pop, I think that would not look very, juicy as of now. So I think looking at a long-term vision, I think it's better that even the investor could look at buying, from the secondary market. That would give him a better opportunity once the stock settles down.
That's the take on the upcoming IPO. But moving on, and Hemen, the next query is from Neelam from Jaipur. She wants a technical view for the next 1 to 3 months on two counters. Swan Energy, she's sitting at a loss of 6% right now. But on the flip side, Indiabull Real Estate, she's making around 11% profit. If you can quickly suggest her the strategy and the approach on both of these names.
Okay, I don't track Indiabull's real estate system. But as far as Swan Energy is concerned, can I request the investor to extend the time frame a bit? We are it's unequivocally in a longer term uptrend, but we walked into a corrective phase and this is the 5th month of a correction system. It's going to take some time. It may or may not break out in the next 3 months. High possibility it will. But if you can extend the time frame to some more time, I believe it is heading towards 740 and even 900, but that's a slightly longer term point of view. So absolutely fine, but the 3-month time frame will be touch and go.
Next query is from Ramki from Delhi, and she wants to know whether is it a good time to buy Polycab because the stock is down around 8 to 9% from its 52-week high. Today also there was a big block deal on the counter. Avinash, do you think it's a good time to buy large quantities of Polycab?
Yeah, I think my sense is that normally whenever such OFS is done by the promoters, the stock displays a negative trend. Unless the investor has got a 18 to 24-month view, because valuations are not cheap, Somit. I think this is a fairly fair to expensive kind of stock. And I think despite the fact that it's a market leader, has a very large basket, I think a sensible strategy would be, even if one wants to buy, start an SIP approach so that, you could get the benefit of averaging and keep a time frame of at least 2 years to get a decent risk reward.
All right. The next query that I have, Avinash, is on AB Capital, wherein Vikas from Gurugram is holding 500 shares. Buy price is 223 rupees, and we are seeing great momentum in all of these Aditya Birla group of counters. But for AB Capital, do you believe he can still continue this with the next 6 months investment horizon?
I think the momentum is pretty strong. Plus, numbers have also been quite solid. So I think keeping a time frame of at least next 12 to 15 months, I think he could ride the momentum, and obviously numbers have been quite strong. So we expect business traction to continue. So AB Capital can be held on to. I think keeping a time frame of 12-15 months, he could expect a further decent risk reward.
Okay. The next query is from Krishna Kumar, and it's on Gland Pharma. He's already holding 3,500 shares of Gland Pharma, bought at a price of 1,468. He bought the shares last year. Avinash, he wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter?
Yeah, I think Gland Pharma has been a non-performer, Somit, and I think the bigger trigger is if there is a stake sale which happens here. I think for a very long time the market has been awaiting this, but unless numbers improve in a significant way, I would not be surprised that we could not see any significant re-rating here. So I think my sense is that if the investor has a short-term view, I think he should obviously move out. But if he's got a 12 to 18-month view, he can continue to hold.
The next query that I have, Avinash, is coming in from Shashwat from Delhi. He's holding 100 shares of PNB Housing Finance. His buy price is 630 rupees. And after the new government being formed, all these housing finance companies are doing pretty well. But specifically on this counter, is that a hold and any targets that he should look out for, or maybe look out for better opportunities? PNB Housing Finance.
No, I think he can continue to hold. See, I think he's entered at a fairly decent level. And I think housing finance companies, as you rightly mentioned, are going to be in focus in this year's budget also. The government has already announced 3 crore free houses under the PM Awas Yojana. And that means that the government is going to focus more on the housing sector, which indirectly means a lot of business for these housing finance companies. Also, there has been some talk that some strategic investor could come in PNB Housing. Carlyle has got a large chunk here. They are looking out to exit the stock at some point of time. So I think clearly, if the investor can hold on for a slightly medium to long time frame, he can definitely benefit. So I think it's better to hold. Some good prospects could come in FY25.
Query is from Bhaskar from Tamil Nadu, and he wants to know whether is the current price of JK Lakshmi Cement a good time to enter the stock for short term. Hemen, what would be your view, JK Lakshmi Cement here?
I think cement is the flavor. JK Lakshmi around 860 makes sense. The stop loss of 840 for a target of 940 looks good. Momentum indicators by volumes fine. Everything is fine.
All right. The next query that I have, Hemen, is from S. Balaji. And amongst the three counters from Amara Raja, Natco Pharma or NLC India, out of these three, any stock that you can you like for a fresh buy and any short-term target that you can help him with?
Natco Pharma has moved Chishti. So has Amara Raja. Amara Raja actually shot to the beginning, so that is not a buy. Simply because so I believe Natco can be looked at. The Pharma index still seems fine, and Natco has corrected a bit, gave a breakout, has given a time price retracement. So I think one can look to buy Natco Pharma at 1140, stop loss of 1100, target 1260.
The next query is from Suresh from Hyderabad. He has 5,000 shares of NMDC, bought at a price of 152. Hemen, could you share the technical view on NMDC?
Well, it gave a 10-year breakout at 150, Somit, and after that it's done phenomenally well. We seem to have entered a intermediate correction. I believe the high posted at 285 plus seems to be a medium-term top. Be it slipping into a correction, I believe we could slip further. So it's going to take time to play out. If he's got a time frame of 12 to 18 months, very clear hold. But as of now, there is going to be some pain because we're going to retrace the last move. So it's going to take time and price both to correct.
What would be your view when it comes to NMDC? Should the investor continue to hold this counter?
Is this for me? So,
Yeah, Avinash, you also.
yeah, I think he can continue to hold. My sense is that the metal cycle is again turning positive, and I think looking at the fact that it's one of the largest producer of iron ore, definitely I think longer term, I think if the metal cycle improves, then I think iron ore prices would obviously benefit. And looking at the kind of growth trajectory in the infrastructure boom within India, and obviously if global metal prices go up, then I think NMDC should also do well. So I think it's better to give some more time, maybe a couple of quarters, and then I think you could see some good traction both on the top line and profitability coming in for NMDC.
All right, then the next query that I have, Avinash, is from Venkat Ramani, and he wants a suggestion on two of the stocks from the power sector for the next 2 years investment horizon.
So I think which are the stocks?
No, Avinash, he wants your top bets from the power space that where he can go ahead and invest afresh.
Yeah, I think we are very positive on the power generating companies. So I think our bet is I think Tata Power, at these levels. If one were to take a 2-year view, then I think it's a well managed company. They're now getting into the green renewable market in a very big way. They're also moving in the electric vehicle charger market. So I think clearly over the next 2 years, you're going to see a lot of business coming in from solar rooftops, infrastructure kind of equipment, and most importantly, the power generating market is growing very rapidly. You could expect some further big announcements in the budget. So Tata Power, despite the fact that it's not a cheap stock, I think over the next 2 years could give a decent, 18-20% compounded return to the investor. And the second stock, I think, from the power space could be, companies like KEC International, which is into the transmission line tower kind of space, which has been growing very rapidly, both in the domestic and the international market. They've got a very large order book, and I think most importantly, power transmission is a very important component of the overall power, sector. So I think this stock also can give decent returns, provided investor has got at least a 12 to 18 month time.
The next query is from Namita, and she's holding 500 shares of Indoco Remedies bought at a price of 422 and 100 shares of Jubilant Pharma bought at a price of 537. Should she continue to hold both the counters or sell? What would be the technical view, Hemen, on both these counters, Indoco Remedies and Jubilant Pharma?
Jubilant Pharma is a easier one, Sumit. Short term, medium term, long term, uptrend on all time frames, linear move, looks good. Roadblock at 780, but the outlook remains positive, so that's a hold. The other stock that you mentioned, Indoco, I think that has been underperforming, and it's still not showing any signs of life, despite this is almost 2.5 years, make that 3 years almost, Summit of underperformance. So I'd say this is a sell on bounce. Currently, it's deeply oversold. Downside does appear limited, but that does not show anything technically very positive yet.
So that's the technical view on Indoco Remedies. But with this, viewers, monsoon flurry has gripped the parts of India, and at least one person was killed and 6 others injured after a portion of the roof of the Delhi airport's Terminal 1 collapsed on cars amid heavy rains this morning. All departures from Terminal 1, which has only domestic flight operations, have been temporarily suspended. Meanwhile, a part of a fabric canopy at the Jabalpur airport collapsed and crushed the vehicle parks below. Heavy rains also lashed parts of Kutch and Gujarat, creating a flood-like situation. But with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a very short break in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now. The next query is from Nilesh Dumane, and he's holding around 100 shares of Maharashtra Seamless bought at a price of 784. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter or sell. Avinash, what would be your view here?
Somit, he can continue to hold if he has a slightly medium to long-term time frame because the oil and gas business is a very large contributor to Maharashtra Seamless, and most importantly, they've got a large order book. They've been executing this very beautifully for the last couple of years. In the last 1 or 2 quarters, there's been some margin pressure, but I think the company should bounce back hopefully in FY25. So I think if the investor has a slightly medium to long term horizon, I don't think the stock could further correct. In fact, it's already corrected from a high. And most importantly, if the investor has a medium term view, I think he can definitely not only recover his cost, but make a decent risk reward. So I think I would suggest continue to hold rather than booking a loss now.
Korean, who's a senior citizen and he's from Cochin. He has around 100 shares of IndusInd Bank, bought at a price of 1,565. He's been holding this counter for the last 1 year. Should he continue to hold or switch to some other bank? Avinash, what would be your view here?
Somit, I think we are positive on IndusInd Bank. The bank has not performed, that well. But if you look at the operating metrics and the financials which the bank presented for FY24, definitely, the balance sheet is healthy. The CASA ratio is also improved. Disbursements have also improved. The asset quality is also pretty solid. So I would say that, wait for some time. Probably you could see some good announcements in the budget for the banking sector. And I think hopefully if infrastructure is given a bigger boost and corporate capex continues, then I think banks are definitely bound to benefit. So within the private banking space, IndusInd Bank definitely one should hold. Keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months. One could expect a decent risk reward.
The next query is from Ravi and he has around 5,000 shares of Suzlon, bought at a price of 45. He wants to know whether should he hold or sell. Hemen, how is the Suzlon chart looking like? Should he continue to hold this counter?
Hold for a medium-term target of 65 and a slightly longer-term target of 80 plus, Somit.
Next query is from S. Basu from Kolkata. He has few shares of Canara Bank, bought at a price of 111 rupees. He wants to know the technical view on this as well, Hemen.
I think some of the PSU banks have taken a small hiatus, so to speak. But I mean, having said that, it's had a phenomenal move. So after the split, it's turned into a relatively flat movement. I would say hold. The bigger picture hasn't changed. Once again, a shorter term view would need an exit. A longer term view, clear hold.
The next query is from Sambasiva Rao from Andhra Pradesh and he wants to invest in Premier Explosive and any of the Kirloskar Group company. Avinash, what would be your view here for Premier Explosive and any Kirloskar Group company that you would suggest or recommend him buying?
I think Premier Explosives is a good company, but I think the price has shot up quite significantly. My sense is that unless and until he wants a slightly longer term view in any of the Kirloskar companies, then I think Kirloskar Pneumatic and Kirloskar Oil Engines, these are both companies which are bound to do pretty well in the coming financial year. Not only do they enjoy a good order book, but I think the tailwinds in both these companies is pretty solid. So you could expect a decent earnings growth. So Kirloskar Oil or Kirloskar Pneumatic, I think could possibly he could decide what he wants to invest, with his available funds. But as far as Premier Explosive is concerned, I think no fresh buying advisable at the current.
He's from Deep from Kolkata. He has few shares of Sona Comstar, bought at a price of 640. He wants to know the short-term view on this counter.
It's flat with a negative bias. Needs a close about 670. Very strong support at 625, not going anywhere.
Okay. The next query is from Sushila. She has few shares of NHPC, bought at a price of 78 rupees. She wants to know the long-term target for this counter. Avinash, any targets for NHPC?
Yeah, I think NHPC has always been a slow mover, Somit, and I think unless the investor has a slightly longer term horizon, I would say that at best 120, 130 could be levels where initially the stock could move up over the next say 12, 15 months, and I think after that a fresh review can be taken. But yes, I think if the investor has a 12 to 18-month view, then only one can stay invested.
Next query is from Satya and he wants to know, Hemen, your view on India Glycols and I guess the other stock is APJ Surrender Park Hotels. I think this is recently listed. You might not have a view on this.
India
Glycols.
India Glycols has been 3 years and counting, Somit. We've been corrective. So keeping 3 years, I would say if you have a 2 year outlook, I think it's a hold. Anything shorter than that, a view which is slightly shorter than that, you will have to exit. So not much in the shorter term, but yes, if it is consolidated for so long and it breaks out, I think the consequences can be uh, pretty significantly bullish, Somit. And like you said, the other stock is newly listed. I won't have much to look at.
The next query is from Anu from Gurgaon. She has 500 shares of AB Capital, bought at a price of 140 rupees per share. She wants to know the short to medium term view on it. Hemen, how's the charts looking for AB Capital?
Has been an uptrend for the past 4 years and counting, continues to do so. All-time high comes in at around 255. That's where you can expect some selling pressure. Otherwise, yes. So 255 becomes a target by default. Sustained about 255 possibility. We would be gravitating towards 280. Slow moving stock, but looks good.
Next query is from Venkat from Hyderabad. He is holding 3,000 shares of All Cargo, bought at a price of 87.5 rupees. He wants to know the long-term view here, Avinash. Your view on All Cargo?
Yeah, I think All Cargo has underperformed, but I think it operates in the multimodal, transport segment. Has got a very large, overseas as well as domestic customer base. My sense is, I think, despite the underperformance, if the investor has a long-term view, I think this is a very large logistic player. So I think one should hold on. There was some demerger of the other two businesses also, Somit. So I think, if the investor has these shares originally, he could have possibly got shares in those other two companies also. So I think looking at the fact that the GDP growth of our country is going to grow by 7-8%, logistics is definitely a sector which is going to be in prominence. So I think continue to hold, take a long-term view, and I think, if possible, even average the stock at the current level, but keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18.
Well, that was the view on All Cargo and our last query on the show. With that, we come to an end to this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Stay tuned and keep watching Each Now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.